今天断路器测试工作顺利吗？
Did the breaker test go well today? Did the breaker test go well today?
你把工具箱放在卡车后面了吗？
Did you leave the toolbox in the back of the truck? Did you leave the toolbox in the back of the truck?
请帮我把这根12号电线拉过来。
Please help me pull this number 12 wire through. Please help me pull this number 12 wire through.
配电箱的盖子要随手关上。
Always close the panel cover after work. Always close the panel cover after work.
今天下午要不要一起检查照明回路？
Shall we check the lighting circuit this afternoon? Shall we check the lighting circuit this afternoon?
施工电梯旁边有一卷多余的电缆。
There is a roll of spare cable near the lift. There is a roll of spare cable near the lift.
我习惯先断电再动手。
I'm used to shutting off the power before working. I'm used to shutting off the power before working.
你昨天是不是忘了带电笔？
Did you forget your tester yesterday? Did you forget your tester yesterday?
检查一下插座有没有 GFCI 保护。
Check if the outlet has GFCI protection. Check if the outlet has GFCI protection.
这个灯具需要用防水接头。
This light fixture needs a waterproof connector. This light fixture needs a waterproof connector.
你能顺手帮我拿一下梯子吗？
Can you grab the ladder for me? Can you grab the ladder for me?
在北美工地一定要戴好安全帽。
On North American job sites, you must wear your hard hat. On North American job sites, you must wear your hard hat.
电锯的电源线有破损，需要换掉。
The power saw cord is damaged and needs replacing. The power saw cord is damaged and needs replacing.
你会弯 EMT 管吗？
Can you bend EMT conduit? Can you bend EMT conduit?
他昨天在屋顶上安装光伏组件。
He installed solar panels on the roof yesterday. He installed solar panels on the roof yesterday.
每次离开工地前要收好工具。
Always put away your tools before leaving the site. Always put away your tools before leaving the site.
把这段电缆固定到桥架上。
Fasten this cable to the tray. Fasten this cable to the tray.
火警系统的模块要单独编号。
The fire alarm modules must be labeled separately. The fire alarm modules must be labeled separately.
今天风大，拉电缆要小心。
It's windy today, be careful when pulling cable. It's windy today, be careful when pulling cable.
昨天的检查员问了接地电阻的情况。
The inspector asked about the grounding resistance yesterday. The inspector asked about the grounding resistance yesterday.
我才刚开始学看电气图纸。
I'm just beginning to learn electrical drawings. I'm just beginning to learn electrical drawings.
你是一个人拉电缆的吗？
Were you pulling the cable by yourself? Were you pulling the cable by yourself?
我希望我能用弯管机弯出更标准的角度。
I wish I could use the bender to make perfect angles. I wish I could use the bender to make perfect angles.
我的手被电线划伤了一点。
I got a small cut on my hand from the wire. I got a small cut on my hand from the wire.
我每年都会去2次电工展会。
I go to the electrical expo twice a year. I go to the electrical expo twice a year.
他说好帮我接线，可最后没来。
He promised to help me wire, but never showed up. He promised to help me wire, but never showed up.
这就是主配电箱。
This is the main panel box. This is the main panel box.
他们忘了锁工具储藏间的门。
They forgot to lock the tool storeroom. They forgot to lock the tool storeroom.
当心高压。
Watch out for high voltage. Watch out for high voltage.
他好像不是持证电工。
He doesn't seem to be a licensed electrician. He doesn't seem to be a licensed electrician.
我想让你陪我一起检查线路。
I'd like you to come with me to check the wiring. I'd like you to come with me to check the wiring.
我6点半回来继续干活。
I'll be back at 6:30 to continue the work. I'll be back at 6:30 to continue the work.
他一句话也没说就走了。
He didn't say a word and just left. He didn't say a word and just left.
我真的喜欢这张布线图。
I really like this wiring diagram. I really like this wiring diagram.
我刚才看见他在切管子。
I saw him just now cutting the conduit. I saw him just now cutting the conduit.
那个人偷走了他的工具包。
That guy stole his tool bag. That guy stole his tool bag.
你最擅长的电工技能是什么？
What are your strongest electrical skills? What are your strongest electrical skills?
桌子上有一把电工剪刀。
There's a pair of electrician scissors on the desk. There's a pair of electrician scissors on the desk.
这条线路的电流太大了。
The current on this line is too high. The current on this line is too high.
我需要一卷新的电工胶带。
I need a new roll of electrical tape. I need a new roll of electrical tape.
把导线包多一点，方便接头。
Strip a bit more wire to make the connection easier. Strip a bit more wire to make the connection easier.
这根电缆太短，不够接到面板。
This cable is too short to reach the panel. This cable is too short to reach the panel.
这个断路器总是跳闸。
This breaker keeps tripping. This breaker keeps tripping.
插座没有接地，要重新接。
The outlet isn't grounded. It needs to be fixed. The outlet isn't grounded. It needs to be fixed.
别站在那儿，那里有高压。
Don't stand there. That's high voltage. Don't stand there. That's high voltage.
你把12号线和14号线混在一起了。
You mixed up the number 12 wires with the number 14. You mixed up the number 12 wires with the number 14.
这个灯泡的瓦数太高，会烧保险。
The wattage of this bulb is too high. It'll blow the fuse. The wattage of this bulb is too high. It'll blow the fuse.
我得去拿个新的螺丝刀。
I need to grab a new screwdriver. I need to grab a new screwdriver.
电源没断，不要动。
The power's still on. Don't touch it. The power's still on. Don't touch it.
把电钻的速度调慢一点。
Turn the drill speed down a bit. Turn the drill speed down a bit.
这根线走的是照明回路。
This wire runs through the lighting circuit. This wire runs through the lighting circuit.
我得查查这台马达的名牌。
I need to check the nameplate on this motor. I need to check the nameplate on this motor.
这个接线盒装反了。
This junction box is installed backwards. This junction box is installed backwards.
我明天要带新的钳子过来。
I'll bring a new pair of pliers tomorrow. I'll bring a new pair of pliers tomorrow.
这条管子有点歪，要重新弯。
This conduit is a bit crooked. We need to bend it again. This conduit is a bit crooked. We need to bend it again.
检查一下灯开关是不是坏了。
Check if the light switch is broken. Check if the light switch is broken.
你有多余的插头吗？
Do you have an extra plug? Do you have an extra plug?
这个配电箱的标签贴错了。
The labels on this panel are wrong. The labels on this panel are wrong.
我在配电箱里找到问题了。
I found the problem inside the panel. I found the problem inside the panel.
这台电机的电流太高了。
The current on this motor is too high. The current on this motor is too high.
灯不亮可能是中心线断了。
The light may be out because the neutral wire is broken. The light may be out because the neutral wire is broken.
我得检查一下这个回路是不是过载。
I need to check if this circuit is overloaded. I need to check if this circuit is overloaded.
插座松了，要换一个新的。
The outlet is loose. We need to replace it. The outlet is loose. We need to replace it.
电缆太紧了，要留点余量。
The cable is too tight, leaving some slack. The cable is too tight, leaving some slack.
照明面板的断路器要编号清楚。
Label the breakers on the lighting panel clearly. Label the breakers on the lighting panel clearly.
今天我们要拉主干线。
We're running the main feeder today. We're running the main feeder today.
这根导线颜色不对。
This wire color is incorrect. This wire color is incorrect.
你能帮我拿一下电缆卷盘吗？
Can you help me get the cable reel? Can you help me get the cable reel?
测一下电压是不是稳定的。
Check if the voltage is stable. Check if the voltage is stable.
地线要和中性线分开。
Keep the ground and neutral separated. Keep the ground and neutral separated.
我得把接线图更新一下。
I need to update the wiring diagram. I need to update the wiring diagram.
不要在潮湿的地面上操作。
Don't work on a wet floor. Don't work on a wet floor.
确保所有电源都已断开。
Make sure all the power sources are turned off. Make sure all the power sources are turned off.
我昨天把那台发电机测试了一遍。
I tested the generator yesterday. I tested the generator yesterday.
所有的灯都接在同一回路上了吗？
Are all the lights connected to the same circuit? Are all the lights connected to the same circuit?
这个控制箱装反了。
This control box is installed backwards. This control box is installed backwards.
先装接线盒，再穿电线。
Install the junction box before pulling the wires. Install the junction box before pulling the wires.
电缆桥架要加上支架固定。
Add brackets to support the cable tray. Add brackets to support the cable tray.
请把那卷 EMT 管搬过来。
Bring that roll of emmed conduit over here. Bring that roll of emmed conduit over here.
用钳子剪断这根12号线。
Cut this number 12 wires with the pliers. Cut this number 12 wires with the pliers.
这个接线端子松了，要拧紧。
This terminal connection is loose. Tighten it up. This terminal connection is loose. Tighten it up.
电缆要穿进这个接线盒。
Run the cable into this junction box. Run the cable into this junction box.
请拿那卷电工胶带给我。
Please hand me that roll of electrical tape. Please hand me that roll of electrical tape.
我们需要一个新的接线盒盖。
We need a new cover for the junction box. We need a new cover for the junction box.
请把万用表调到电压档。
Set the multimeter to voltage mode. Set the multimeter to voltage mode.
检查一下这根电线有没有通。
Check the continuity of this wire. Check the continuity of this wire.
在这个墙面上开一个 knockout。
Make a knockout on this wall surface. Make a knockout on this wall surface.
穿线时要用 fish tape。
Use a fishing tape when pulling wires. Use a fishing tape when pulling wires.
这根 BX 电缆的外皮磨损了。
The BX cable sheath is damaged. The BX cable sheath is damaged.
插座的火线和中性线接反了。
The hot and neutral wires are reversed on this outlet. The hot and neutral wires are reversed on this outlet.
这个接线端子要加上绝缘帽。
Put a wire net on this terminal. Put a wire net on this terminal.
电锤的钻头钝了，打不动墙。
The hammer drill bit is dull and can't go through the wall. The hammer drill bit is dull and can't go through the wall.
量一下这根导线的长度。
Measure the length of this wire. Measure the length of this wire.
新的断路器要匹配面板型号。
The new breaker must match the panel type. The new breaker must match the panel type.
请确认所有 PPE 都已穿戴好。
Make sure all PPE is properly worn. Make sure all PPE is properly worn.
别忘了在电缆上写标签。
Don't forget to label the cable. Don't forget to label the cable.
这根导线是控制回路的一部分。
This wire is part of the control circuit. This wire is part of the control circuit.
装配完要检查每个连接点。
Inspect every connection point after assembly. Inspect every connection point after assembly.
用电压测试笔检查一下是否有电。
Check for voltage with a tester. Check for voltage with a tester.
在接触器的线圈端测一下电压。
Measure the voltage at the coil of the contactor. Measure the voltage at the coil of the contactor.
断电后再拆这个控制回路。
Disconnect the power before removing this control circuit. Disconnect the power before removing this control circuit.
这个继电器的触点烧坏了。
The contacts on this relay are burned. The contacts on this relay are burned.
这个变压器是120伏转24伏的。
This transformer steps down from 120 volts to 24 volts. This transformer steps down from 120 volts to 24 volts.
控制箱里有一个过载保护器。
There's an overload protector inside the control box. There's an overload protector inside the control box.
把新的断路开关安装在墙上。
Mount the new disconnect switch on the wall. Mount the new disconnect switch on the wall.
检查一下控制回路的保险丝。
Check the fuse in the control circuit. Check the fuse in the control circuit.
我在图纸上找不到这个元件符号。
I can't find this component symbol on the drawing. I can't find this component symbol on the drawing.
量一下导线的线径。
Measure the wire gauge. Measure the wire gauge.
接线端子要编号清楚。
Label all the terminal blocks clearly. Label all the terminal blocks clearly.
电器柜里的线太乱了，要整理。
The wiring inside the panel board is messy. It needs organizing. The wiring inside the panel board is messy. It needs organizing.
这台马达需要3箱电源。
This motor requires a 3-phase power supply. This motor requires a 3-phase power supply.
检查一下接触器是否吸合。
Check if the contactor is pulling in. Check if the contactor is pulling in.
这个启动按钮弹不起来了。
The start button doesn't pop back up. The start button doesn't pop back up.
停止按钮接在回路的长臂端。
The stop button is wired on the normally closed side of the circuit. The stop button is wired on the normally closed side of the circuit.
把这根控制线接到 PLC 的输入端。
Connect this control wire to the PLC input terminal. Connect this control wire to the PLC input terminal.
控制箱上的指示灯不亮。
The indicator light on the control box isn't working. The indicator light on the control box isn't working.
测一下接地线有没有通。
Check the continuity of the grounding wiring. Check the continuity of the grounding wiring.
这个配电柜的门锁坏了。
The lock on this electrical cabinet is broken. The lock on this electrical cabinet is broken.
启动器的接线要按照图纸来。
Wire the motor starter according to the schematic. Wire the motor starter according to the schematic.
先检查马达的转向。
Check the motor rotation first. Check the motor rotation first.
这个马达启动时电流太大。
The starting current of this motor is too high. The starting current of this motor is too high.
测一下绝缘电阻。
Measure the insulation resistance. Measure the insulation resistance.
要使用合适规格的保险丝。
Use fuses with the correct ratings. Use fuses with the correct ratings.
马达启动器的线圈烧坏了。
The coil in the motor starter is burned out. The coil in the motor starter is burned out.
请确认控制回路电压是24伏。
Make sure the control circuit voltage is 24 volts. Make sure the control circuit voltage is 24 volts.
加上锁定挂牌再检修。
Apply lockout tagout before maintenance. Apply lockout tagout before maintenance.
这个回路有接地故障。
There's a grounding fault in this circuit. There's a grounding fault in this circuit.
测量一下三相电压是否平衡。
Check if the three-phase voltage is balanced. Check if the three-phase voltage is balanced.
启动按钮接触不良。
The start button has a poor contact. The start button has a poor contact.
更换损坏的保险丝座。
Replace the damaged fuse holder. Replace the damaged fuse holder.
电线颜色要符合标准。
The wire colors must follow the standards. The wire colors must follow the standards.
操作前要填写安全检查表。
Fill out the PPE safety checklist before operating. Fill out the PPE safety checklist before operating.
所有导线都要绑扎整齐。
Bundle all wires neatly. Bundle all wires neatly.
配电盘的标签要更新。
Update the labels on the breaker panel. Update the labels on the breaker panel.
马达控制箱里的灰尘太多。
There's too much dust inside the motor control box. There's too much dust inside the motor control box.
保持手干燥再操作电气设备。
Keep your hands dry before handling electrical equipment. Keep your hands dry before handling electrical equipment.
测试仪显示电压波动。
The tester shows a voltage fluctuation. The tester shows a voltage fluctuation.
我刚完成这个马达控制的接线。
I just finished wiring this motor control. I just finished wiring this motor control.
安装灯具前先切断电源。
Turn off the power before installing the light fixture. Turn off the power before installing the light fixture.
把这条电缆穿进管子里。
Pull this cable through the conduit. Pull this cable through the conduit.
检查灯具支架是否牢固。
Check if the light fixture bracket is secure. Check if the light fixture bracket is secure.
荧光灯需要镇流器才能工作。
Fluorescent lights need a ballast to operate. Fluorescent lights need a ballast to operate.
更换烧坏的灯管。
Replace the burnt-out lamp. Replace the burnt-out lamp.
这个 LED 灯要接在调光开关上。
This LED light should be connected to a dimmer switch. This LED light should be connected to a dimmer switch.
天花板太高，要用脚手架安装。
The ceiling is too high. Use scaffolding for installation. The ceiling is too high. Use scaffolding for installation.
拉线时要有人在两头配合。
Two people are needed to coordinate when pulling wires. Two people are needed to coordinate when pulling wires.
这根电线要加上护套保护。
Add a sleeve to protect this wire. Add a sleeve to protect this wire.
灯具的接地线要接牢。
The grounding wiring of the fixture must be properly connected. The grounding wiring of the fixture must be properly connected.
电缆槽里不要太拥挤。
Don't overcrowd the cable tray. Don't overcrowd the cable tray.
照明回路要单独布线。
Run the lighting circuit separately. Run the lighting circuit separately.
在墙上安装明装线槽。
Install surface-mounted wire decks on the wall. Install surface-mounted wire decks on the wall.
插座的固定螺丝松了。
The mounting screws of the outlet are loose. The mounting screws of the outlet are loose.
检查这个面板的电流负载。
Check the current load on this panel. Check the current load on this panel.
用夹带整理电缆。
Organize the cables with zip ties. Organize the cables with zip ties.
灯具的接线头要包好胶带。
Wrap the wire joints of the light fixture with tape. Wrap the wire joints of the light fixture with tape.
把延长线收好，别让人绊倒。
Store the extension cord properly to avoid tripping. Store the extension cord properly to avoid tripping.
这个照明电路短路了。
There's a short circuit in this lighting circuit. There's a short circuit in this lighting circuit.
检查漏电保护器是否动作。
Check if the GFCI breaker has tripped. Check if the GFCI breaker has tripped.
万 EMT 管时要注意角度。
Watch the angle when bending the EMT conduit. Watch the angle when bending the EMT conduit.
把这根管子用锁母固定。
Secure this conduit with a lock nut. Secure this conduit with a lock nut.
在接线盒里加上护口。
Add a bushing inside the junction box. Add a bushing inside the junction box.
使用 PVC 管时要先上胶水。
Apply glue before connecting the PVC conduit. Apply glue before connecting the PVC conduit.
用软管连接电机进线。
Use a flex connector for the motor wiring. Use a flex connector for the motor wiring.
检查断路器是否正常跳闸。
Check if the breaker trips properly. Check if the breaker trips properly.
用万用表测量电压和电流。
Use a multimeter to measure voltage and current. Use a multimeter to measure voltage and current.
这个回路的断路器容量太小。
The breaker size for this circuit is too small. The breaker size for this circuit is too small.
标注每个回路的编号。
Label each circuit number clearly. Label each circuit number clearly.
确保配管接头连接紧密。
Make sure all conduit fittings are tight. Make sure all conduit fittings are tight.
这台设备需要单独的电源开关。
This equipment needs a separate disconnect switch. This equipment needs a separate disconnect switch.
拉线前要检查管路是否通畅。
Check if the conduit path is clear before pulling wires. Check if the conduit path is clear before pulling wires.
在配电箱中保持中性线整齐。
Keep all neutral wires neat inside the panel. Keep all neutral wires neat inside the panel.
这个回路需要加上断路器锁。
This circuit requires a breaker lock. This circuit requires a breaker lock.
接线完要用绝缘测试仪检查。
Use an insulation tester after wiring. Use an insulation tester after wiring.
电缆进线口要加防水接头。
Add a waterproof connector to the cable entry. Add a waterproof connector to the cable entry.
面板的标识要与图纸一致。
Panel labeling must match the drawings. Panel labeling must match the drawings.
用电压笔检查是否还有残压。
Use a voltage tester to check for residual voltage. Use a voltage tester to check for residual voltage.
电缆管太长，需要再加一个接线盒。
The conduit running is too long. Add another junction box. The conduit running is too long. Add another junction box.
配管要保持水平和整齐。
Keep the conduits level and aligned. Keep the conduits level and aligned.
安装配电箱时要保持水平。
Keep the panel level when installing it. Keep the panel level when installing it.
主断开开关要安装在入口附近。
Install the main disconnect switch near the service entrance. Install the main disconnect switch near the service entrance.
检查进线端的接线螺栓是否紧固。
Check if the lugs on the service entrance are tight. Check if the lugs on the service entrance are tight.
所有的导线都要进电缆卡子。
All wires must go through the cable clamps. All wires must go through the cable clamps.
这个面板的电流分布不平衡。
The load on this panel is unbalanced. The load on this panel is unbalanced.
我在检查电压降是否在允许范围内。
I'm checking if the voltage drop is within limits. I'm checking if the voltage drop is within limits.
安装完后要进行绝缘测试。
Perform an insulation test after installation. Perform an insulation test after installation.
主断路器容量太小，需要更换。
The main breaker is undersized and needs replacement. The main breaker is undersized and needs replacement.
检查配电箱的接地排。
Check the grounding bar in the panel. Check the grounding bar in the panel.
导线的外皮不能伸进端子太多。
Don't let too much insulation enter the terminal. Don't let too much insulation enter the terminal.
要使用扭力扳手来紧接线螺栓。
Use a torque wrench to tighten the wire lugs. Use a torque wrench to tighten the wire lugs.
面板门要能完全关闭。
The panel door must close completely. The panel door must close completely.
加上警示标签，注明主电源。
Add a warning label indicating the main power. Add a warning label indicating the main power.
保持配电箱内部整洁无灰尘。
Keep the inside of the panel clean and dust-free. Keep the inside of the panel clean and dust-free.
每次维护都要填写检修记录。
Fill out a maintenance log after each service. Fill out a maintenance log after each service.
检查断路器的额定电流。
Check the rated current of the breaker. Check the rated current of the breaker.
确认每个支路回路都能正常断开。
Make sure each branch circuit can be properly disconnected. Make sure each branch circuit can be properly disconnected.
导线进线口要安装橡胶密封圈。
Install rubber grommets on the cable entry holes. Install rubber grommets on the cable entry holes.
主电缆有轻微发热现象。
The main cable feels slightly warm. The main cable feels slightly warm.
这个配电箱已经通过测试。
This panel has passed the inspection test. This panel has passed the inspection test.
电机控制回路要加上过载保护。
Add overload protection to the motor control circuit. Add overload protection to the motor control circuit.
信号线要和动力线分开辐射。
Run signal wires separately from power lines. Run signal wires separately from power lines.
接线端子要压紧，不能松动。
Tighten the terminal blocks securely. No loose connections. Tighten the terminal blocks securely. No loose connections.
量一下控制回路的电压读数。
Take a voltage reading from the control circuit. Take a voltage reading from the control circuit.
线槽里的电缆不要交叉。
Avoid crossing cables inside the wire ducts. Avoid crossing cables inside the wire ducts.
每条导线都要贴上号码管。
Label each wire with a number of sleeves. Label each wire with a number of sleeves.
检查接地线的连接是否牢固。
Check if the grounding wire is firmly connected. Check if the grounding wire is firmly connected.
这个电机的过载继电器动作了。
The overload relay of this motor has tripped. The overload relay of this motor has tripped.
所有信号线要用屏蔽线。
Use shielded cables for all signal wiring. Use shielded cables for all signal wiring.
电缆进线口要安装电缆密封接头。
Install cable glands at all cable entry points. Install cable glands at all cable entry points.
把控制箱的端子排重新整理一下。
Rearrange the terminal blocks in the control box. Rearrange the terminal blocks in the control box.
检查启动按钮的触点是否正常。
Check the contacts of the start button. Check the contacts of the start button.
进行一次完整的通端测试。
Perform a full continuity test. Perform a full continuity test.
用绝缘胶带包好所有落线。
Wrap all exposed wires with electrical tape. Wrap all exposed wires with electrical tape.
电机接线盒的盖子没盖紧。
The cover on the motor junction box isn't tight. The cover on the motor junction box isn't tight.
所有回路线都要接到正确的端子上。
Make sure each circuit wire is landed on the correct terminal. Make sure each circuit wire is landed on the correct terminal.
这个回路的保险丝已经烧断了。
The fuse in this circuit has blown. The fuse in this circuit has blown.
安装完后要检查每个控制点。
Check each control point after installation. Check each control point after installation.
测试一下紧急停止按钮。
Test the emergency stop button. Test the emergency stop button.
控制回路的布线必须整齐清晰。
The control circuit wiring must be neat and clear. The control circuit wiring must be neat and clear.
这条线路好像有短路。
There seems to be a short circuit in this line. There seems to be a short circuit in this line.
用钳形表测一下电流。
Measure the current with a clamping meter. Measure the current with a clamping meter.
这个控制箱有烧焦的味道。
There's a burning smell coming from the control box. There's a burning smell coming from the control box.
我怀疑是绝缘老化造成的。
I suspect it's caused by insulation aging. I suspect it's caused by insulation aging.
先断电再拆接线。
Turn off the power before disconnecting any wires. Turn off the power before disconnecting any wires.
重新合上短路器看看。
Reset the breaker and see what happens. Reset the breaker and see what happens.
检查马达的过载是否跳了。
Check if the motor overload has tripped. Check if the motor overload has tripped.
温度太高会导致设备停机。
High temperatures can cause equipment shut down. High temperatures can cause equipment shut down.
用热像仪看看有没有发热点。
Use a thermal camera to check for hot spots. Use a thermal camera to check for hot spots.
检查电缆接头有没有松动。
Check if the cable connections are loose. Check if the cable connections are loose.
这台设备运行声音不正常。
This machine is making an unusual noise. This machine is making an unusual noise.
测一下相电压和线电压。
Measure both phase voltage and line voltage. Measure both phase voltage and line voltage.
可能是接地不良造成的干扰。
It might be interference due to poor grounding. It might be interference due to poor grounding.
用绝缘测试仪检查线路。
Check the circuit using an insulation tester. Check the circuit using an insulation tester.
记录下所有测试数据。
Record all the test readings. Record all the test readings.
换上新的控制模块试试看。
Try replacing the control module. Try replacing the control module.
检查继电器是否正常动作。
Check if the relay is operating properly. Check if the relay is operating properly.
线缆护套有破损，要包好。
The cable sheath is damaged and needs to be wrapped. The cable sheath is damaged and needs to be wrapped.
保持电器设备干燥清洁。
Keep all electrical equipment dry and clean. Keep all electrical equipment dry and clean.
维修完后要重新通电测试。
Power on again after maintenance for testing. Power on again after maintenance for testing.
测试前要先戴好绝缘手套。
Wear insulating gloves before doing any tests. Wear insulating gloves before doing any tests.
用万用表测量电阻值。
Use a multimeter to measure the resistance value. Use a multimeter to measure the resistance value.
测试线要插在正确的端口里。
Insert the test leads into the correct terminals. Insert the test leads into the correct terminals.
用绝缘摇表检测电缆的绝缘性。
Use a megger to test the insulation of the cable. Use a megger to test the insulation of the cable.
确保测试区域没有带电导体。
Make sure there are no live conductors in the test area. Make sure there are no live conductors in the test area.
检测时要站在绝缘垫上。
Stand on an insulating mat while testing. Stand on an insulating mat while testing.
记录下每次测试的电阻值。
Record the resistance value for each test. Record the resistance value for each test.
电压测试笔亮起，表示有电。
If the voltage tester lights up, it means there's power. If the voltage tester lights up, it means there's power.
测量前要确认仪表设置正确。
Confirm the meter settings before taking a measurement. Confirm the meter settings before taking a measurement.
导线绝缘层老化会影响读数。
Aging wire insulation can affect the reading. Aging wire insulation can affect the reading.
测试完要先放电，再触碰。
Discharge the circuit before touching it after testing. Discharge the circuit before touching it after testing.
测底显示要断开主电源。
Disconnect the main power when testing the ground wire. Disconnect the main power when testing the ground wire.
发现问题要立即挂牌警示。
Place a warning tag immediately if a problem is found. Place a warning tag immediately if a problem is found.
所有工具都要定期校验。
All tools must be calibrated regularly. All tools must be calibrated regularly.
不要用湿手接触测试仪。
Do not touch the tester with wet hands. Do not touch the tester with wet hands.
用钳形表测量三相电流。
Use a clamping meter to measure three-phase current. Use a clamping meter to measure three-phase current.
检查漏电保护器是否灵敏。
Check if the GFCI is working sensitively. Check if the GFCI is working sensitively.
检测电缆前，先确认无负载。
Ensure there's no loading before testing the cables. Ensure there's no loading before testing the cables.
这台仪表的电池快没电了。
The battery in this tester is running low. The battery in this tester is running low.
测试完毕后要复位所有开关。
Reset all switches after testing. Reset all switches after testing.
临时电源箱要放在干燥的地方。
Place the temporary power box in a dry area. Place the temporary power box in a dry area.
使用延长线时要注意负载容量。
Check the loading capacity when using extension cords. Check the loading capacity when using extension cords.
卷线盘不要完全卷着使用。
Do not use the cable reel while it's fully coiled. Do not use the cable reel while it's fully coiled.
确保插头插紧，没有松动。
Make sure the plug is fully inserted and not loose. Make sure the plug is fully inserted and not loose.
地面上的电缆要加防护盖。
Cover floor cables with a protective cord cover. Cover floor cables with a protective cord cover.
用扎带把多余的线收好。
Use cable ties to bundle up extra cords. Use cable ties to bundle up extra cords.
避免电缆穿过行走通道。
Avoid running cables across walkways. Avoid running cables across walkways.
检查插座是否有 GFEI 保护。
Check if the outlets have GFCI protection. Check if the outlets have GFCI protection.
所有电缆要标明电压等级。
Label all cables with their voltage ratings. Label all cables with their voltage ratings.
临时电源线要用黄色电缆。
Use yellow cables for temporary power lines. Use yellow cables for temporary power lines.
不要在电缆上堆放重物。
Do not place heavy objects on the cables. Do not place heavy objects on the cables.
电缆连接处要用防水接头。
Use waterproof connectors for cable joints. Use waterproof connectors for cable joints.
使用前检查电缆是否有破损。
Inspect the cable for any damage before use. Inspect the cable for any damage before use.
移动设备时要避免拉扯电缆。
Avoid pulling the cables when moving equipment. Avoid pulling the cables when moving equipment.
临时照明线要挂高，防止绊倒。
Hang temporary lighting cables high to prevent tripping. Hang temporary lighting cables high to prevent tripping.
检查插座的接地是否良好。
Check the grounding of the power outlet. Check the grounding of the power outlet.
延长线不能串联太多根。
Do not daisy chain too many extension cords. Do not daisy chain too many extension cords.
电缆卷盘要定期清理灰尘。
Clean the cable reel regularly to remove dust. Clean the cable reel regularly to remove dust.
所有电缆接头要用绝缘胶带包好。
Wrap all cable joints with electrical tape. Wrap all cable joints with electrical tape.
临时电缆拆除后要立即回收。
Remove and store temporary cables immediately after use. Remove and store temporary cables immediately after use.
根据图纸布置电线管线路。
Laying out the conduit runs according to the drawings. Laying out the conduit runs according to the drawings.
在天花板上预留照明接线盒。
Left junction boxes for lighting in the ceiling. Left junction boxes for lighting in the ceiling.
这个位置需要安装一个双联插座。
Install a duplex outlet at this location. Install a duplex outlet at this location.
照明开关要和门口对齐。
Align the light switch with the doorway. Align the light switch with the doorway.
配电图纸上标了电缆走向。
The wiring diagram shows the cable routing. The wiring diagram shows the cable routing.
把线管沿墙角固定。
Secure the conduit along the wall corners. Secure the conduit along the wall corners.
所有的接线盒要露出墙面。
All junction boxes must be flushed with the wall surface. All junction boxes must be flushed with the wall surface.
使用柔性管连接灯具。
Use flexible conduits to connect the fixtures. Use flexible conduits to connect the fixtures.
电缆长度要留出维护余量。
Leave extra cable length for maintenance. Leave extra cable length for maintenance.
在地面与买管道时要注意标高。
Check elevation when embedding conduits in the floor. Check elevation when embedding conduits in the floor.
把主干线沿梁下走。
Run the main conduit under the beam. Run the main conduit under the beam.
标注每根管道的编号。
Label each conduit with its identification number. Label each conduit with its identification number.
在图纸上找到控制回路的符号。
Find the symbol for the control circuit on the drawing. Find the symbol for the control circuit on the drawing.
用红色笔标出修改部分。
Mark the revisions in red on the plan. Mark the revisions in red on the plan.
确认每个回路的线径和电流。
Verify the wire gauge and current for each circuit. Verify the wire gauge and current for each circuit.
根据平面图布置照明回路。
Lay out the lighting circuits based on the floor plan. Lay out the lighting circuits based on the floor plan.
这个接线盒的位置要调整一点。
The position of this junction box needs adjustment. The position of this junction box needs adjustment.
电缆要从两孔中穿过去。
Route the cables through the beam openings. Route the cables through the beam openings.
图纸上的电气符号要看清楚。
Read the electrical symbols on the blueprint carefully. Read the electrical symbols on the blueprint carefully.
每层楼都要有单独的照明回路。
Each floor should have its own lighting circuit. Each floor should have its own lighting circuit.
在电控柜里安装端子牌。
Install terminal blocks inside the control panel. Install terminal blocks inside the control panel.
所有导线都要套上号码管。
Put number sleeves on all the wires. Put number sleeves on all the wires.
使用夹带整理线束。
Use cable ties to organize the wiring harness. Use cable ties to organize the wiring harness.
在导线末端压上冷压端头。
Crimp ferrules on the ends of the wires. Crimp ferrules on the ends of the wires.
线槽盖要盖紧，防止灰尘进入。
Close the wire duct covers tightly to prevent dust. Close the wire duct covers tightly to prevent dust.
接地排要和面板牢固连接。
Bond the grounding bar securely to the panel. Bond the grounding bar securely to the panel.
控制线要和动力线分开走线。
Separate the control wires from the power lines. Separate the control wires from the power lines.
导线要走线槽，不要交叉。
Route the wires through the ducts without crossing. Route the wires through the ducts without crossing.
端子标号要与图纸一致。
Terminal markings must match the wiring diagram. Terminal markings must match the wiring diagram.
使用螺丝刀拧紧端子螺钉。
Tighten the terminal screws with a screwdriver. Tighten the terminal screws with a screwdriver.
每个回路都要测试通断。
Test the continuity of each circuit. Test the continuity of each circuit.
安装完成后拍照留档。
Take photos for documentation after installation. Take photos for documentation after installation.
线槽内部不要放太多电线。
Avoid overcrowding wires inside the duct. Avoid overcrowding wires inside the duct.
检查控制项内的接地线。
Check the grounding wire inside the control box. Check the grounding wire inside the control box.
用绝缘胶带包好备用线。
Wrap unused wires with electrical tape. Wrap unused wires with electrical tape.
线号标签要清晰可见。
Wire number tags must be clearly visible. Wire number tags must be clearly visible.
确保所有接线都已拧紧。
Make sure all wired connections are tight. Make sure all wired connections are tight.
在门板上安装操作按钮。
Install the control buttons on the panel door. Install the control buttons on the panel door.
将信号线接到输入端子上。
Connect the signal wires to the input terminals. Connect the signal wires to the input terminals.
电控柜装好后要进行通电测试。
Power up the control panel for testing after assembly. Power up the control panel for testing after assembly.
把控制回路的电压调到24伏。
Set the control circuit voltage to 24 volts. Set the control circuit voltage to 24 volts.
检查 PLC 输入端是否有信号。
Check if there's a signal at the PLC input terminal. Check if there's a signal at the PLC input terminal.
输出端没有动作，可能是继电器坏了。
The output isn't responding. The relay might be faulty. The output isn't responding. The relay might be faulty.
确保信号灯接在正确的端子上。
Make sure the signal light is connected to the correct terminal. Make sure the signal light is connected to the correct terminal.
检查 I/O 模块的接线是否正确。
Check the wiring on the I/O module. Check the wiring on the I/O module.
这根通信电缆要接到 COM 端口。
Connect this communication cable to the COM port. Connect this communication cable to the COM port.
PLC 的电源指示灯亮着。
The PLC power indicator light is on. The PLC power indicator light is on.
输入信号不稳定，检查传感器。
The input signal is unstable. Check the sensor. The input signal is unstable. Check the sensor.
测试一下控制回路的通断。
Test the continuity of the control circuit. Test the continuity of the control circuit.
这个输出信号没有返回反馈。
There's no feedback from this output signal. There's no feedback from this output signal.
确认程序里对应的输入点。
Confirm the input points in the program. Confirm the input points in the program.
用万用表量一下输出端的电压。
Measure the voltage at the output terminal with a multimeter. Measure the voltage at the output terminal with a multimeter.
PLC 的通信状态显示正常。
The PLC communication status is normal. The PLC communication status is normal.
信号线和电源线不要绑在一起。
Do not bundle signal and power wires together. Do not bundle signal and power wires together.
这个端子编号和图纸不一致。
This terminal number doesn't match the drawings. This terminal number doesn't match the drawings.
检查一下接地线是否松动。
Check if the grounding wire is loose. Check if the grounding wire is loose.
I/O 端子牌要贴上标签。
Label the I/O terminal strips clearly. Label the I/O terminal strips clearly.
程序下载后要重新通电测试。
Power up again after downloading the program. Power up again after downloading the program.
这个 PLC 模块有备用插槽。
This PLC module has a spare slot. This PLC module has a spare slot.
测试完要保存控制程序的备份。
Save a backup of the control program after testing. Save a backup of the control program after testing.
检查传感器的安装方向。
Check the mounting direction of the sensor. Check the mounting direction of the sensor.
靠得太近会造成误触发。
Being too close can cause a false trigger. Being too close can cause a false trigger.
这个接近开关没有信号输出。
The proximity switch has no signal output. The proximity switch has no signal output.
限位开关安装位置要准确。
The limit switch must be installed in the right position. The limit switch must be installed in the right position.
检查传感器的电源电压。
Check the power voltage of the sensor. Check the power voltage of the sensor.
这个传感器是3线制的。
This sensor uses a 3-wire connection. This sensor uses a 3-wire connection.
信号线要用屏蔽电缆。
Use shielded cables for signal wires. Use shielded cables for signal wires.
模拟量输入要经过校准。
Analog input must be calibrated. Analog input must be calibrated.
这个控制柜的信号灯不亮。
The indicator light on the control cabinet isn't working. The indicator light on the control cabinet isn't working.
检查接线是否接反。
Check if the wiring is reversed. Check if the wiring is reversed.
输入信号电压太低。
The input signal voltage is too low. The input signal voltage is too low.
输出继电器没有动作。
The output relay isn't operating. The output relay isn't operating.
PLC 的状态灯在闪烁。
The PLC status light is blinking. The PLC status light is blinking.
进行一次传感器测试程序。
Run a sensor test sequence. Run a sensor test sequence.
所有输入信号都要逐一检查。
Check all input signals one by one. Check all input signals one by one.
把反馈信号线重新接牢。
Reconnect the feedback signal wiring securely. Reconnect the feedback signal wiring securely.
校准完成后保存参数。
Save the parameters after calibration. Save the parameters after calibration.
传感器线不能和动力线平行。
Do not route sensor cables parallel to power lines. Do not route sensor cables parallel to power lines.
调试前要确认控制电源正常。
Ensure the control power is normal before commissioning. Ensure the control power is normal before commissioning.
测试完成后关闭主电源。
Turn off the main power after testing. Turn off the main power after testing.
报警灯亮了，说明系统有故障。
The alarm light is on, which means there's a system fault. The alarm light is on, which means there's a system fault.
控制系统进入了报警模式。
The control system has entered alarm mode. The control system has entered alarm mode.
检查报警代码的具体含义。
Check the meaning of the alarm code. Check the meaning of the alarm code.
可能是某个传感器信号丢失了。
It might be caused by a lost sensor signal. It might be caused by a lost sensor signal.
按下复位按钮清除报警。
Press the reset button to clear the alarm. Press the reset button to clear the alarm.
复位后系统仍然报警。
The alarm remains after reset. The alarm remains after reset.
关闭主电源再重新启动。
Turn off the main power and restart the system. Turn off the main power and restart the system.
紧急停止按钮被按下了。
The emergency stop button has been pressed. The emergency stop button has been pressed.
先释放急停，再重新上电。
Release the e-stop and power up again. Release the e-stop and power up again.
故障可能出在控制继电器上。
The problem might be with the control relay. The problem might be with the control relay.
检查控制电源是否正常。
Check if the control power supply is normal. Check if the control power supply is normal.
PLC 显示通讯中断。
The PLC shows a communication error. The PLC shows a communication error.
重新插拔一下通讯线。
Unplug and reconnect the communication cable. Unplug and reconnect the communication cable.
设备运行中出现电源掉电。
The equipment lost power during operation. The equipment lost power during operation.
系统需要重新启动初始化。
The system needs to be rebooted for initialization. The system needs to be rebooted for initialization.
进入维护模式进行检查。
Enter maintenance mode for inspection. Enter maintenance mode for inspection.
发现控制柜里有松动的接线。
Found a loose connection inside the control cabinet. Found a loose connection inside the control cabinet.
所有报警都已清除。
All alarms have been cleared. All alarms have been cleared.
恢复正常运行模式。
Return to normal operation mode. Return to normal operation mode.
记录这次故障的处理过程。
Record the troubleshooting process for this fault. Record the troubleshooting process for this fault.
开始维修前要先执行锁定挂牌。
Apply lockout tagout before starting maintenance. Apply lockout tagout before starting maintenance.
填写维修记录表。
Fill out the maintenance record form. Fill out the maintenance record form.
确认设备完全断电。
Verify that the equipment is fully de-energized. Verify that the equipment is fully de-energized.
佩戴安全帽和防护手套。
Wear a hard hat and protective gloves. Wear a hard hat and protective gloves.
检查工作区域是否有电气危险。
Check the work area for electrical hazards. Check the work area for electrical hazards.
使用电压测试笔确认无电。
Use a voltage tester to confirm no voltage is present. Use a voltage tester to confirm no voltage is present.
每次维修都要汇报主管。
Report to the supervisor after each maintenance. Report to the supervisor after each maintenance.
维修区域要拉上警示带。
Put up caution tape around the maintenance area. Put up caution tape around the maintenance area.
梯子要放稳，角度要正确。
Set the ladder firmly and at the right angle. Set the ladder firmly and at the right angle.
工具不要放在高处。
Do not leave tools at high places. Do not leave tools at high places.
更换保险丝前先检查负载。
Check the load before replacing the fuse. Check the load before replacing the fuse.
使用绝缘工具操作带电部分。
Use insulated tools when working on living parts. Use insulated tools when working on living parts.
遇到紧急情况要立刻断电。
Cut off the power immediately in case of emergency. Cut off the power immediately in case of emergency.
每周都要做一次安全检查。
Perform a safety inspection every week. Perform a safety inspection every week.
维修完后要通知其他工种。
Notify other trades after finishing electrical work. Notify other trades after finishing electrical work.
设备外壳要接好地线。
Make sure the equipment casing is properly grounded. Make sure the equipment casing is properly grounded.
开工前要参加安全会议。
Attend the toolbox safety meeting before starting work. Attend the toolbox safety meeting before starting work.
发现隐患要马上汇报。
Report any safety hazards immediately. Report any safety hazards immediately.
保持通道畅通，防止绊倒。
Keep walkways clear to prevent tripping. Keep walkways clear to prevent tripping.
检查完毕后要恢复电源。
Restore the power after the inspection is completed. Restore the power after the inspection is completed.
电缆桥架要水平安装并固定牢。
Install and secure the cable tray horizontally. Install and secure the cable tray horizontally.
所有电缆要按编号顺序放置。
Arrange all cables in order by their identification numbers. Arrange all cables in order by their identification numbers.
电缆弯曲半径不能太小。
The cable bending radius must not be too small. The cable bending radius must not be too small.
在电缆进线口加上卡线夹。
Install a cable clamp at the cable entry point. Install a cable clamp at the cable entry point.
检查电缆是否有机械损伤。
Inspect the cables for any mechanical damage. Inspect the cables for any mechanical damage.
电缆敷设完后要进行绝缘测试。
Perform an insulation test after the cable installation. Perform an insulation test after the cable installation.
电缆接地线要与主接地排连接。
Connect the cable ground wire to the main grounding bar. Connect the cable ground wire to the main grounding bar.
接地棒要打入湿润的土壤中。
Drive the grounding rod into moist soil. Drive the grounding rod into moist soil.
接地导体要使用铜线或镀锌带。
Use copper wire or galvanized strips for grounding conductors. Use copper wire or galvanized strips for grounding conductors.
所有金属外壳都要可靠接地。
All metal enclosures must be properly grounded. All metal enclosures must be properly grounded.
接地电阻要小于5欧姆。
The grounding resistance should be less than 5 ohms. The grounding resistance should be less than 5 ohms.
配电箱和接地排之间要加接地线。
Bond the distribution box to the grounding bar. Bond the distribution box to the grounding bar.
电缆沟要保持干燥无积水。
Keep the cable trench dry and free of water. Keep the cable trench dry and free of water.
在电缆沟里铺上沙层保护。
Lay a sand layer in the cable trench for protection. Lay a sand layer in the cable trench for protection.
敷设完的电缆要加盖标识板。
Install an identification tag after the cables are laid. Install an identification tag after the cables are laid.
电缆穿管时要涂上润滑剂。
Apply lubricant when pulling cables through conduits. Apply lubricant when pulling cables through conduits.
埋地电缆要按深度规范施工。
Follow depth regulations for underground cable installations. Follow depth regulations for underground cable installations.
接地系统要经过专业检测。
The grounding system must be professionally tested. The grounding system must be professionally tested.
检测报告要存档备查。
File the grounding test report for record keeping. File the grounding test report for record keeping.
所有接地端子都要紧固。
Tighten all grounding terminals securely. Tighten all grounding terminals securely.
和施工主管确认今天的任务。
Confirm today's tasks with the site supervisor. Confirm today's tasks with the site supervisor.
材料还没到，安装要延后。
The materials haven't arrived. Installation will be delayed. The materials haven't arrived. Installation will be delayed.
请在计划表上更新进度。
Update the progress on the scheduling board. Update the progress on the scheduling board.
明天有检查，要提前准备好。
We have an inspection tomorrow. Be prepared in advance. We have an inspection tomorrow. Be prepared in advance.
确认今天的工作区域是否开放。
Confirm if today's work area is open. Confirm if today's work area is open.
和木工协调一下墙体开孔位置。
Coordinate the wall opening position with the carpenter. Coordinate the wall opening position with the carpenter.
管道要在混凝土浇筑前完成。
The conduits must be completed before concrete pouring. The conduits must be completed before concrete pouring.
请检查一下工具清单。
Please check the tool inventory list. Please check the tool inventory list.
需要再领几卷电缆。
We need to get a few more rolls of cable. We need to get a few more rolls of cable.
和仓库确认物料编号。
Confirm the material code with the warehouse. Confirm the material code with the warehouse.
今天的电缆送货晚到了1个小时。
The cable delivery arrived an hour late today. The cable delivery arrived an hour late today.
安装图纸有更新，请重新核对。
The installation drawing has been updated. Please verify it again. The installation drawing has been updated. Please verify it again.
现场要保持整洁，不能乱放材料。
Keep the job site clean. Don't leave materials scattered around. Keep the job site clean. Don't leave materials scattered around.
午休后，我们从主干线开始拉线。
After lunch, we'll start pulling the main feeder line. After lunch, we'll start pulling the main feeder line.
把昨天的工作照片发给我。
Send me the work photos from yesterday. Send me the work photos from yesterday.
项目经理要今天的进度报告。
The project manager needs today's progress report. The project manager needs today's progress report.
安全员要检查我们的 PPE。
The safety officer will inspect our PPE. The safety officer will inspect our PPE.
下午2点有一个协调会议。
There's a coordination meeting at 2 p.m. There's a coordination meeting at 2 p.m.
明天的工作要等混凝土固化后才能进行。
Tomorrow's work can start only after the concrete cures. Tomorrow's work can start only after the concrete cures.
今天的任务完成得很顺利。
Today's tasks were completed smoothly. Today's tasks were completed smoothly.
今天开始做最终检查。
We're starting the final inspection today. We're starting the final inspection today.
核对一下所有的电器设备标签。
Check all the electrical equipment labels. Check all the electrical equipment labels.
清理电控柜内的灰尘和杂物。
Clean the dust and debris inside the control panel. Clean the dust and debris inside the control panel.
确认每个电缆都贴上标签。
Confirm that each cable is properly labeled. Confirm that each cable is properly labeled.
检查所有接地线的连接点。
Inspect all grounding connections. Inspect all grounding connections.
电气图纸要更新为竣工图。
Update the electrical drawings to as-built status. Update the electrical drawings to as-built status.
进行最后一次绝缘测试。
Perform the final insulation test. Perform the final insulation test.
测试所有断路器的动作是否正常。
Test the operation of all circuit breakers. Test the operation of all circuit breakers.
控制柜要加装名牌。
Install a nameplate on the control cabinet. Install a nameplate on the control cabinet.
填写设备验收记录表。
Fill out the equipment acceptance record form. Fill out the equipment acceptance record form.
客户代表要签字确认。
The client representative must sign for approval. The client representative must sign for approval.
准备移交文档和测试报告。
Prepare the handover documents and test reports. Prepare the handover documents and test reports.
确认配电系统运行稳定。
Verify that the power distribution system runs stably. Verify that the power distribution system runs stably.
所有照明都已正常工作。
All lighting systems are working properly. All lighting systems are working properly.
检查紧急照明的电池是否充电。
Check if the emergency light batteries are charged. Check if the emergency light batteries are charged.
确认备用发电机能自动切换。
Confirm that the backup generator switches automatically. Confirm that the backup generator switches automatically.
现场清理完毕后拍照存档。
Take photos for recording after site cleanup. Take photos for recording after site cleanup.
所有工具都已收回仓库。
All tools have been returned to the warehouse. All tools have been returned to the warehouse.
最后的安全检查已经完成。
The final safety inspection has been completed. The final safety inspection has been completed.
项目顺利通过验收。
The project has passed the inspection successfully. The project has passed the inspection successfully.
今天要做例行巡检。
We're doing a routine inspection today. We're doing a routine inspection today.
按照计划表执行预防性维护。
Perform preventive maintenance according to the schedule. Perform preventive maintenance according to the schedule.
先断电再开始检查。
Disconnect the power before starting the inspection. Disconnect the power before starting the inspection.
检查电机是否有异常振动。
Check if the motor has any unusual vibrations. Check if the motor has any unusual vibrations.
测一下电机外壳的温度。
Measure the temperature on the motor casing. Measure the temperature on the motor casing.
电缆接头处有轻微发热。
The cable joints are slightly warm. The cable joints are slightly warm.
清理控制柜的通风过滤网。
Clean the ventilation filter of the control cabinet. Clean the ventilation filter of the control cabinet.
加一点润滑油到轴承上。
Add some lubricant to the bearings. Add some lubricant to the bearings.
检查过载保护装置是否动作。
Check if the overload protection device operates properly. Check if the overload protection device operates properly.
用热像仪扫描电器接头。
Use a thermal imager to scan the electrical connections. Use a thermal imager to scan the electrical connections.
确认电缆绝缘没有老化。
Confirm that the cable insulation hasn't aged. Confirm that the cable insulation hasn't aged.
记录所有测量数据。
Record all the measurement data. Record all the measurement data.
更换老化的接触器。
Replace the aged contactor. Replace the aged contactor.
检查控制线是否松动。
Check if any control wire is loose. Check if any control wire is loose.
测试备用电源的自动切换功能。
Test the automatic transfer function of the backup power. Test the automatic transfer function of the backup power.
更换烧坏的指示灯。
Replace the burnt-out indicator light. Replace the burnt-out indicator light.
保持控制柜内部整洁。
Keep the inside of the control cabinet clean. Keep the inside of the control cabinet clean.
所有检查结果要填写在日志里。
Write all inspection results in the maintenance log. Write all inspection results in the maintenance log.
设备维护完要重新上电测试。
Power up and test the equipment after maintenance. Power up and test the equipment after maintenance.
巡检工作全部完成。
All inspection work has been completed. All inspection work has been completed.
检查发电机的燃油量。
Check the fuel level of the generator. Check the fuel level of the generator.
机油压力要保持在正常范围。
Keep the oil pressure within the normal range. Keep the oil pressure within the normal range.
启动发电机前要检查冷却水。
Check the coolant level before starting the generator. Check the coolant level before starting the generator.
发电机启动正常。
The generator starts up normally. The generator starts up normally.
测试自动转换开关是否动作。
Test if the automatic transfer switch adds operates correctly. Test if the automatic transfer switch adds operates correctly.
发电机要每周试运行一次。
The generator should be tested once a week. The generator should be tested once a week.
运行时注意电压和频率。
Monitor the voltage and frequency during operation. Monitor the voltage and frequency during operation.
听一下发动机有没有异响。
Listen for unusual sounds from the engine. Listen for unusual sounds from the engine.
测一下输出电压是否稳定。
Check if the output voltage is stable. Check if the output voltage is stable.
负载测试结果正常。
The load test results are normal. The load test results are normal.
更换机油和滤芯。
Replace the engine oil and filters. Replace the engine oil and filters.
检查风扇皮带的松紧度。
Check the tension of the fan belt. Check the tension of the fan belt.
电池充电器工作正常。
The battery charger is working properly. The battery charger is working properly.
备用电源切换后要恢复主电源。
Switch back to the main power after using the backup supply. Switch back to the main power after using the backup supply.
发电机外壳要接地。
The generator housing must be grounded. The generator housing must be grounded.
检查排气管是否有漏气。
Inspect the exhaust pipe for leaks. Inspect the exhaust pipe for leaks.
发电机房要保持通风。
Keep the generator room well ventilated. Keep the generator room well ventilated.
运行记录要填写在日志里。
Log all operating records in the maintenance book. Log all operating records in the maintenance book.
每月要进行一次全面检查。
Perform a full inspection every month. Perform a full inspection every month.
备用电源系统运行良好。
The backup power system is running smoothly. The backup power system is running smoothly.
我们正在进行电气系统升级。
We re-upgrading the electrical system. We re-upgrading the electrical system.
更换旧的照明灯具为 LED 灯。
Replace old lighting fixtures with LED lights. Replace old lighting fixtures with LED lights.
安装新的节能控制器。
Install a new energy-saving controller. Install a new energy-saving controller.
测量功率因数，评估负载平衡。
Measure the power factor and evaluate load balance. Measure the power factor and evaluate load balance.
增加无功补偿装置以提高效率。
Add a power factor correction unit to improve efficiency. Add a power factor correction unit to improve efficiency.
主电缆需要升级以适应更高负载。
The main cables need to be upgraded for higher load capacity. The main cables need to be upgraded for higher load capacity.
安装变频器以控制电机速度。
Install a variable frequency drive VFD to control motor speed. Install a variable frequency drive VFD to control motor speed.
优化配电系统的线路布局。
Optimize the wiring layout of the distribution system. Optimize the wiring layout of the distribution system.
旧的配电箱要更换成智能面板。
Replace the old distribution box with a smart panel. Replace the old distribution box with a smart panel.
检查节能设备的运行状态。
Check the operating status of the energy-saving devices. Check the operating status of the energy-saving devices.
安装电能监测仪表。
Install energy monitoring meters. Install energy monitoring meters.
收集各回路的能耗数据。
Collect energy consumption data from each circuit. Collect energy consumption data from each circuit.
评估系统的能效等级。
Evaluate the energy efficiency ratings of the system. Evaluate the energy efficiency ratings of the system.
更新所有电缆标签和图纸。
Update all cable labels and drawings. Update all cable labels and drawings.
进行负载测试，确保稳定运行。
Perform a load test to ensure stable operation. Perform a load test to ensure stable operation.
新的节能方案已通过审批。
The new energy saving plan has been approved. The new energy saving plan has been approved.
安装新的控制面板外壳。
Install the new control panel enclosure. Install the new control panel enclosure.
调试完成后要记录参数。
Record all parameters after commissioning. Record all parameters after commissioning.
客户要求增加远程监控功能。
The client requested remote monitoring capabilities. The client requested remote monitoring capabilities.
节能改造项目进展顺利。
The energy retrofit project is going smoothly. The energy retrofit project is going smoothly.
开始安装照明回路。
Start installing the lighting circuits. Start installing the lighting circuits.
在天花板上固定灯具底座。
Mount the fixture based on the ceiling. Mount the fixture based on the ceiling.
照明接线盒要与灯具对齐。
Align the lighting junction box with the fixture. Align the lighting junction box with the fixture.
把火线接到开关端。
Connect the hot wire to the switch terminal. Connect the hot wire to the switch terminal.
中性线接到照明回路的中性排上。
Connect the neutral wire to the neutral bus of the lighting circuit. Connect the neutral wire to the neutral bus of the lighting circuit.
接地线要连接到金属盒上。
Attach the grounding wire to the metal box. Attach the grounding wire to the metal box.
安装前要确认电源已断开。
Make sure the power is off before installation. Make sure the power is off before installation.
灯具安装高度要符合图纸要求。
Ensure the fixture height meets the drawing specifications. Ensure the fixture height meets the drawing specifications.
开关要安装在门旁边。
Install the light switch next to the door. Install the light switch next to the door.
插座离地高度保持一致。
Keep all receptacle heights consistent above the floor. Keep all receptacle heights consistent above the floor.
插座面板要安装平整。
Install the outlet faceplates evenly. Install the outlet faceplates evenly.
卫生间插座要有 GFEI 保护。
Bathroom outlets must have GFCI protection. Bathroom outlets must have GFCI protection.
调光开关要匹配灯具类型。
The dimmer switch must match the light fixture type. The dimmer switch must match the light fixture type.
检查每个灯具的接线极性。
Check the polarity of each lighting fixture connection. Check the polarity of each lighting fixture connection.
所有灯具安装完后要测试亮度。
Test the brightness after all fixtures are installed. Test the brightness after all fixtures are installed.
更换损坏的灯泡。
Replace any damaged light bulbs. Replace any damaged light bulbs.
灯具要安装牢固，不能晃动。
The fixtures must be securely installed and not loose. The fixtures must be securely installed and not loose.
天花板上的孔径要合适。
Ensure the ceiling hole size fits the fixture properly. Ensure the ceiling hole size fits the fixture properly.
接线盒盖板要安装到位。
Install the junction box cover properly. Install the junction box cover properly.
照明系统通过验收。
The lighting system has passed inspection. The lighting system has passed inspection.
开始安装主配电箱。
Start installing the main distribution panel. Start installing the main distribution panel.
将金线电缆接入主开关。
Connect the feeder cables to the main disconnect switch. Connect the feeder cables to the main disconnect switch.
确保电缆压线头拧紧。
Make sure the cable lugs are tightened securely. Make sure the cable lugs are tightened securely.
把火线接到断路器上。
Connect the hot wires to the circuit breakers. Connect the hot wires to the circuit breakers.
中性线要接到中性排上。
Connect all neutral wires to the neutral bus bar. Connect all neutral wires to the neutral bus bar.
接地线要统一接到接地排上。
Bond all grounding wires to the ground bar. Bond all grounding wires to the ground bar.
断路器容量要符合负载要求。
The breaker rating must match the load demand. The breaker rating must match the load demand.
在配电箱门上贴上回路标签。
Place circuit labels on the inside of the panel door. Place circuit labels on the inside of the panel door.
每个回路都要有编号。
Each circuit must have a unique number. Each circuit must have a unique number.
在配电图上标明个回路用途。
Mark each circuit's purpose on the distribution diagram. Mark each circuit's purpose on the distribution diagram.
主开关要贴上 main 标签。
Label the main switch as main. Label the main switch as main.
备用回路要用胶带封好。
Seal spare circuits with electrical tape. Seal spare circuits with electrical tape.
断路器排列要整齐有序。
Arrange the breakers neatly and in order. Arrange the breakers neatly and in order.
配电箱盖板要装回原位。
Reinstall the panel cover properly. Reinstall the panel cover properly.
关闭电源前再次确认接线。
Double check all wiring before powering up. Double-check all wiring before powering up.
打开主电源进行通电测试。
Turn on the main power for a live test. Turn on the main power for a live test.
确认所有回路工作正常。
Confirm all circuits are working properly. Confirm all circuits are working properly.
检查断路器有没有松动。
Check if any breakers are loose. Check if any breakers are loose.
测试过载保护功能。
Test the overload protection function. Test the overload protection function.
配电箱安装顺利完成。
The panel installation has been completed successfully. The panel installation has been completed successfully.
开始布置电线管线路。
Start laying out the conduit runs. Start laying out the conduit runs.
使用 EMT 线管进行明装布线。
Use EMT conduits for surface wiring installation. Use EMT conduits for surface wiring installation.
测量并标记弯管位置。
Measure and mark the conduit for bending. Measure and mark the conduit for bending.
用手动弯管器做90度弯。
Make a 90-degree bend using a hand bender. Make a 90-degree bend using a hand bender.
偏移弯要保持角度一致。
Keep the same angle for offset bends. Keep the same angle for offset bends.
连接管道时使用接头和套管。
Use couplings and connectors when joining conduits. Use couplings and connectors when joining conduits.
线管对接处要保持平直。
Ensure conduit joints are aligned straight. Ensure conduit joints are aligned straight.
检查弯管是否有扭曲。
Check the bent conduit for any twisting. Check the bent conduit for any twisting.
线管两端要去毛刺。
Debar both ends of the conduit. Debar both ends of the conduit.
用金属卡固定线管在墙面上。
Fasten the conduit to the wall with metal straps. Fasten the conduit to the wall with metal straps.
每隔1.5米加一个固定点。
Add a support strap every 1.5 meters. Add a support strap every 1.5 meters.
天花板走线要保持水平。
Keep conduit runs level across the ceiling. Keep conduit runs level across the ceiling.
遇到障碍时用偏移弯绕过。
Use offset bends to bypass obstacles. Use offset bends to bypass obstacles.
进入接线盒时要使用锁母。
Use lock nuts when entering a junction box. Use lock nuts when entering a junction box.
穿线前要清理管内杂物。
Clean out debris from the conduit before pulling wires. Clean out debris from the conduit before pulling wires.
长距离穿线时要使用穿线润滑剂。
Use wire pulling lubricant for long conduit runs. Use wire pulling lubricant for long conduit runs.
检查所有接头的紧固情况。
Check that all fittings are tightened properly. Check that all fittings are tightened properly.
弯管完成后要用水平尺校正。
Use a level to check alignment after bending. Use a level to check alignment after bending.
安装伸缩接头以防热胀冷缩。
Install expansion fittings to allow for thermal movement. Install expansion fittings to allow for thermal movement.
管路安装完成后要进行验收检查。
Inspect the conduit installation after completion. Inspect the conduit installation after completion.
开始往管道里穿线。
Start pulling wires through the conduit. Start pulling wires through the conduit.
使用穿线钢丝引导电线。
Use a fishing tape to guide the wires. Use a fishing tape to guide the wires.
多人配合拉线更省力。
It's easier to pull wires with two people working together. It's easier to pull wires with two people working together.
注意不要刮伤电缆外皮。
Be careful not to damage the wire insulation. Be careful not to damage the wire insulation.
长距离穿线要加润滑剂。
Apply lubricant for long-distance wire pulling. Apply lubricant for long-distance wire pulling.
确保每根线都有颜色区分。
Make sure each wire has a different color coding. Make sure each wire has a different color coding.
用扎带捆好多余的线。
Bundle extra wires neatly with cable ties. Bundle extra wires neatly with cable ties.
将导线编号后贴上标签。
Label each wire after numbering it. Label each wire after numbering it.
把导线插入端子压接头。
Insert the wire into the terminal lug. Insert the wire into the terminal lug.
用压线钳压紧端子。
Crimp the terminal firmly with a crimping tool. Crimp the terminal firmly with a crimping tool.
确保每根线都接触良好。
Ensure each wire has a solid electrical contact. Ensure each wire has a solid electrical contact.
使用万用表测试导通性。
Use a multimeter to test for continuity. Use a multimeter to test for continuity.
检查是否有短路或断线。
Check for short circuits or open wires. Check for short circuits or open wires.
确认电压值在安全范围内。
Verify that the voltage is within the safe range. Verify that the voltage is within the safe range.
用接线帽固定接头。
Secure the connections with wired connectors. Secure the connections with wire connectors.
多股线要先拧紧再接线。
Twist stranded wires together before connecting. Twist stranded wires together before connecting.
导线连接后要用绝缘胶带包好。
Wrap the connections with electrical tape after joining. Wrap the connections with electrical tape after joining.
测试完毕后清理现场。
Clean up the site after all tests are done. Clean up the site after all tests are done.
所有导线端头要整理整齐。
Arrange all wire ends neatly. Arrange all wire ends neatly.
穿线和端接工作已完成。
Wire pulling and termination work is completed. Wire pulling and termination work is completed.
布线时要遵守电气规范。
Follow electrical code requirements when wiring. Follow electrical code requirements when wiring.
黑色线表示火线。
The black wire indicates a hot wire. The black wire indicates a hot wire.
白色线表示中性线。
The white wire indicates a neutral wire. The white wire indicates a neutral wire.
绿色线或裸线表示接地线。
The green or bare wire is the grounding conductor. The green or bare wire is the grounding conductor.
红色线用于240伏回路。
Red wires are used for 240-volt circuits. Red wires are used for 240-volt circuits.
蓝色和黄色线用于三相系统。
Blue and yellow wires are used in three-phase systems. Blue and yellow wires are used in three-phase systems.
所有导线颜色要保持一致。
Keep all wire color codes consistent throughout the project. Keep all wire color codes consistent throughout the project.
在接线端头加上颜色标记。
Add color markers at each wiring terminal. Add color markers at each wiring terminal.
中性线和接地线不能接在一起。
Neutral and grounding wires must not be bonded together. Neutral and grounding wires must not be bonded together.
检查每个端子的接线是否正确。
Check if the wiring on each terminal is correct. Check if the wiring on each terminal is correct.
导线规格要符合电流要求。
Wire gauge must match the current rating. Wire gauge must match the current rating.
避免不同规格的线混用。
Avoid mixing different wire sizes in the same circuit. Avoid mixing different wire sizes in the same circuit.
使用同线或认证的铝线。
Use copper or approved aluminum conductors. Use copper or approved aluminum conductors.
导线标示要清晰可见。
Ensure all wire labels are clearly visible. Ensure all wire labels are clearly visible.
接线前要核对图纸编号。
Verify the wiring numbers with the drawings before connection. Verify the wiring numbers with the drawings before connection.
导线要预留适当长度。
Leave enough length at each wire end for connection. Leave enough length at each wire end for connection.
布线时要避免线缆交叉。
Avoid crossing wires during installation. Avoid crossing wires during installation.
线槽内的线不能太拥挤。
Do not overcrowd wires inside the wire ducts. Do not overcrowd wires inside the wire ducts.
布线完成后要进行检查。
Inspect all wiring after completion. Inspect all wiring after completion.
所有导线颜色和接法符合规范。
All wiring colors and connections meet the coding requirements. All wiring colors and connections meet the coding requirements.
布线时要遵守电气规范。
Follow electrical code requirements when wiring. Follow electrical code requirements when wiring.
黑色线表示火线。
The black wire indicates a hot wire. The black wire indicates a hot wire.
白色线表示中性线。
The white wire indicates a neutral wire. The white wire indicates a neutral wire.
绿色线或裸线表示接地线。
The green or bare wire is the grounding conductor. The green or bare wire is the grounding conductor.
红色线用于240伏回路。
Red wires are used for 240-volt circuits. Red wires are used for 240-volt circuits.
蓝色和黄色线用于三相系统。
Blue and yellow wires are used in three-phase systems. Blue and yellow wires are used in three-phase systems.
所有导线颜色要保持一致。
Keep all wire color codes consistent throughout the project. Keep all wire color codes consistent throughout the project.
在接线端头加上颜色标记。
Add color markers at each wiring terminal. Add color markers at each wiring terminal.
中性线和接地线不能接在一起。
Neutral and grounding wires must not be bonded together. Neutral and grounding wires must not be bonded together.
检查每个端子的接线是否正确。
Check if the wiring on each terminal is correct. Check if the wiring on each terminal is correct.
导线规格要符合电流要求。
Wire gauge must match the current rating. Wire gauge must match the current rating.
避免不同规格的线混用。
Avoid mixing different wire sizes in the same circuit. Avoid mixing different wire sizes in the same circuit.
使用铜线或认证的铝线。
Use copper or approved aluminum conductors. Use copper or approved aluminum conductors.
导线标示要清晰可见。
Ensure all wire labels are clearly visible. Ensure all wire labels are clearly visible.
接线前要核对图纸编号。
Verify the wiring numbers with the drawings before connection. Verify the wiring numbers with the drawings before connection.
导线要预留适当长度。
Leave enough length at each wire end for connection. Leave enough length at each wire end for connection.
布线时要避免线缆交叉。
Avoid crossing wires during installation. Avoid crossing wires during installation.
线槽内的线不能太拥挤。
Do not overcrowd wires inside the wire ducts. Do not overcrowd wires inside the wire ducts.
布线完成后要进行检查。
Inspect all wiring after completion. Inspect all wiring after completion.
所有导线颜色和接法符合规范。
All wiring colors and connections meet the coding requirements. All wiring colors and connections meet the coding requirements.
开始安装火灾报警系统。
Start installing the fire alarm system. Start installing the fire alarm system.
烟雾探测器要安装在天花板上。
Install smoke detectors on the ceiling. Install smoke detectors on the ceiling.
温感探测器要远离空调出风口。
Place heat sensors away from air vents. Place heat sensors away from air vents.
所有探测器要串联接入主干线。
Connect all detectors in series to the main line. Connect all detectors in series to the main line.
火警控制面板安装在入口附近。
Install the fire alarm control panel near the entrance. Install the fire alarm control panel near the entrance.
电源线与信号线要分开布置。
Separate power cables from signal cables. Separate power cables from signal cables.
使用24伏电源为报警系统供电。
Use a 24-volt power supply for the alarm system. Use a 24-volt power supply for the alarm system.
报警喇叭要安装在走廊处。
Install fire alarm horns in the hallway. Install fire alarm horns in the hallway.
火警铃要安装在显眼的位置。
Mount the fire bell in a visible location. Mount the fire bell in a visible location.
紧急照明灯要与火警联动。
Emergency lights should be linked with the fire alarm system. Emergency lights should be linked with the fire alarm system.
监控摄像头要安装在门口上方。
Install the CCTV camera above the doorway. Install the CCTV camera above the doorway.
使用 BNC 接头连接视频线。
Connect video cables with BNC connectors. Connect video cables with BNC connectors.
摄像头电源要接稳。
Make sure the camera power is properly connected. Make sure the camera power is properly connected.
信号线不能和电源线共管。
Do not run signal cables in the same conduit as power lines. Do not run signal cables in the same conduit as power lines.
测试每个摄像头的画面。
Test the video feed of each camera. Test the video feed of each camera.
调整镜头角度，覆盖入口区域。
Adjust the camera angle to cover the entrance area. Adjust the camera angle to cover the entrance area.
火警控制面板要进行复位测试。
Perform a system reset test on the fire alarm panel. Perform a system reset test on the fire alarm panel.
确认报警信号能正常触发。
Confirm that the alarm signal triggers correctly. Confirm that the alarm signal triggers correctly.
记录每个设备的测试结果。
Record the test results for each device. Record the test results for each device.
火警与监控系统安装完成。
The fire alarm and CCTV systems have been installed successfully. The fire alarm and CCTV systems have been installed successfully.
开始安装照明控制系统。
Start installing the lighting control system. Start installing the lighting control system.
调光开关要与灯具功率匹配。
Make sure the dimmer switch matches the lamp wattage. Make sure the dimmer switch matches the lamp wattage.
安装人体感应开关。
Install an occupancy sensor switch. Install an occupancy sensor switch.
感应器要对准通行方向。
Aim the sensor toward the walking direction. Aim the sensor toward the walking direction.
感应开关的灵敏度要适中。
Adjust the sensor sensitivity to a moderate level. Adjust the sensor sensitivity to a moderate level.
设置延时关闭时间为2分钟。
Set the delay off time to 2 minutes. Set the delay off time to 2 minutes.
白天模式下自动关闭灯光。
The lights turn off automatically during daylight mode. The lights turn off automatically during daylight mode.
调光器要安装在低压控制线回路中。
Install the dimmer in the low voltage control circuit. Install the dimmer in the low voltage control circuit.
使用定时开关控制外部照明。
Use a timer switch to control outdoor lighting. Use a timer switch to control outdoor lighting.
光照传感器安装在窗边位置。
Install the daylight sensor near the window area. Install the daylight sensor near the window area.
控制模块要安装在配电箱内。
Mount the control module inside the distribution panel. Mount the control module inside the distribution panel.
通过继电器控制多组灯具。
Controls multiple lighting groups through a relay module. Controls multiple lighting groups through a relay module.
智能照明系统支持远程控制。
The smart lighting system supports remote control. The smart lighting system supports remote control.
使用手机应用可以调节亮度。
You can adjust the brightness using a mobile app. You can adjust the brightness using a mobile app.
节能模式会自动降低照明强度。
The energy-saving mode automatically reduces light intensity. The energy-saving mode automatically reduces light intensity.
所有控制线要单独走管。
Run all control wires in separate conduits. Run all control wires in separate conduits.
检查每个开关的回路连通。
Check the circuit continuity of each switch. Check the circuit continuity of each switch.
系统调试时逐一测试灯具。
Test each fixture individually during commissioning. Test each fixture individually during commissioning.
确认定时与感应功能都正常。
Verify that the timer and sensor functions work properly. Verify that the timer and sensor functions work properly.
照明控制系统运行良好。
The lighting control system is operating properly. The lighting control system is operating properly.
开始安装电机控制系统。
Start installing the motor control system. Start installing the motor control system.
将电机接线引入控制柜。
Bring the motor leads into the control cabinet. Bring the motor leads into the control cabinet.
使用接触器控制电机启停。
Use a contactor to control the motor start and stop. Use a contactor to control the motor start and stop.
接触器线圈要接在控制电路上。
Connect the contactor coil to the control circuit. Connect the contactor coil to the control circuit.
安装热继电器做过再保护。
Install a thermal overload relay for protection. Install a thermal overload relay for protection.
确认接线符合控制图纸。
Verify all wiring matches the control diagram. Verify all wiring matches the control diagram.
电机的转向要符合设备要求。
Ensure the motor rotation direction meets the equipment requirements. Ensure the motor rotation direction meets the equipment requirements.
测量电机的运行电流。
Measure the motor's running current. Measure the motor's running current.
运行电流不能超过额定值。
The running current must not exceed the rated value. The running current must not exceed the rated value.
检查三相电源相序。
Check the phase rotation of the three-phase supply. Check the phase rotation of the three-phase supply.
如果转向错误，交换两相即可。
If the rotation is wrong, swap any two phases. If the rotation is wrong, swap any two phases.
使用按钮控制正反转。
Use push buttons for forward and reverse control. Use push buttons for forward and reverse control.
控制回路中要加护锁。
Add interlocks in the control circuit. Add interlocks in the control circuit.
安装指示灯显示运行状态。
Install indicator lights to show operating status. Install indicator lights to show operating status.
测试启动与停止按钮功能。
Test the functions of the start and stop buttons. Test the functions of the start and stop buttons.
确认热继电器能正确跳闸。
Confirm that the overload relay trips correctly. Confirm that the overload relay trips correctly.
检查接触器触点是否烧蚀。
Inspect the contactor contacts for burn marks. Inspect the contactor contacts for burn marks.
电机外壳要可靠接地。
Ensure the motor housing is properly grounded. Ensure the motor housing is properly grounded.
启动后监听电机是否平稳运行。
Listen to ensure the motor runs smoothly after startup. Listen to ensure the motor runs smoothly after startup.
电机控制系统测试完成。
The motor control system has been successfully tested. The motor control system has been successfully tested.
开始安装变频器控制柜。
Start installing the VFD control cabinet. Start installing the VFD control cabinet.
确认变频器的输入电源电压。
Check the input voltage of the VFD. Check the input voltage of the VFD.
电源线和电机线要分开走线。
Separate the power cables from the motor cables. Separate the power cables from the motor cables.
将电机引线接到变频器输出端。
Connecting the motor leads to the VFD output terminals. Connecting the motor leads to the VFD output terminals.
控制线要接到端子排上。
Connect control wires to the terminal block. Connect control wires to the terminal block.
检查接地线是否牢固。
Check if the grounding wire is securely connected. Check if the grounding wire is securely connected.
开启电源后观察显示屏。
Turn on the power and observe the display screen. Turn on the power and observe the display screen.
进入参数设置界面。
Enter the parameter settings menu. Enter the parameter settings menu.
设置电机的额定电压和电流。
Set the rated voltage and current of the motor. Set the rated voltage and current of the motor.
设定最高运行频率为60赫兹。
Set the maximum operating frequency to 60 Hz. Set the maximum operating frequency to 60 Hz.
调整加速和减速时间。
Adjust the ramp up and ramp down times. Adjust the ramp up and ramp down times.
选择控制模式为远程操作。
Select remote operation mode for control. Select remote operation mode for control.
进行电机自动调协。
Performing motor auto tuning. Performing motor auto tuning.
观察变频器输出频率变化。
Monitor the output frequency of the VFD. Monitor the output frequency of the VFD.
检查电机运行是否平稳。
Check if the motor runs smoothly. Check if the motor runs smoothly.
记录每个参数的设定值。
Record the set values of all parameters. Record the set values of all parameters.
测试紧急停止按钮功能。
Test the emergency stop button function. Test the emergency stop button function.
确认变频器报警代码清零。
Confirm that all VFD fault codes are cleared. Confirm that all VFD fault codes are cleared.
关闭电源前等待显示屏熄灭。
Wait for the display to turn off before cutting power. Wait for the display to turn off before cutting power.
变频器安装与调试完成。
The VFD installation and commissioning are complete. The VFD installation and commissioning are complete.
开始布置控制柜内部线路。
Start wiring inside the control panel. Start wiring inside the control panel.
将 PLC 安装在颠导轨上。
Mount the PLC on the DIN rail. Mount the PLC on the DIN rail.
输入模块接传感器信号线。
Connect the sensor wires to the input module. Connect the sensor wires to the input module.
输出模块接控制继电器。
Connect the output module to the control relays. Connect the output module to the control relays.
电源模块提供24伏直流电。
The power module supplies 24 volts DC. The power module supplies 24 volts DC.
使用标号套管标识每根线。
Label each wire with numbered sleeves. Label each wire with numbered sleeves.
线槽内部线要整齐。
Arrange the wiring neatly inside the wire duct. Arrange the wiring neatly inside the wire duct.
输入信号要用屏蔽线。
Use shielded cables for input signals. Use shielded cables for input signals.
接地线要连接到接地排。
Connect the grounding wires to the ground bar. Connect the grounding wires to the ground bar.
将控制线接到端子排上。
Connect control wires to the terminal block. Connect control wires to the terminal block.
上传 PLC 程序到控制器中。
Upload the PLC program into the controller. Upload the PLC program into the controller.
检查每个 I/O 点是否响应正常。
Check if each I/O point responds correctly. Check if each I/O point responds correctly.
使用梯形图监视输入状态。
Monitor input status using ladder logic view. Monitor input status using ladder logic view.
输出继电器要加浪涌吸收模块。
Add surge suppressors to the output relays. Add surge suppressors to the output relays.
控制柜的电源线要分层布置。
Route the control cabinet power cables separately by layer. Route the control cabinet power cables separately by layer.
所有线缆应远离信号模块。
Keep all high voltage cables away from signal modules. Keep all high voltage cables away from signal modules.
检查 PLC 与人机界面通讯。
Check communication between the PLC and HMI. Check communication between the PLC and HMI.
调试时逐步测试每个功能。
Test each function step by step during commissioning. Test each function step by step during commissioning.
确认程序逻辑与图纸一致。
Confirm that the program logic matches the schematic. Confirm that the program logic matches the schematic.
控制柜布线与 PLC 调试完成。
The control panel wiring and PLC setup are completed. The control panel wiring and PLC setup are completed.
开始安装人机界面触摸屏。
Start installing the HMI touch panel. Start installing the HMI touch panel.
将通信线接到 PLC 的串口。
Connect the communication cable to the PLC serial port. Connect the communication cable to the PLC serial port.
确认通讯协议为 Modbus R2。
Confirm that the communication protocol is Modbus RTU. Confirm that the communication protocol is Modbus RTU.
为 HMI 设置独立的电源模块。
Provide a separate power module for the HMI. Provide a separate power module for the HMI.
HMI 要安装在控制柜前门上。
Mount the HMI on the front door of the control cabinet. Mount the HMI on the front door of the control cabinet.
上传 HMI 程序到触摸屏。
Upload the HMI program to the touchscreen. Upload the HMI program to the touchscreen.
设置主界面显示运行状态。
Set the main screen to show the system status. Set the main screen to show the system status.
参数输入界面要设计简洁。
Design the parameter input page to be simple and clear. Design the parameter input page to be simple and clear.
在画面上添加报警显示窗口。
Adds an alarm display window to the screen. Adds an alarm display window to the screen.
建立趋势曲线显示温度变化。
Create a trend graph to display temperature changes. Create a trend graph to display temperature changes.
所有按钮要有清晰的标签。
Label all buttons clearly on the interface. Label all buttons clearly on the interface.
设置管理员与操作员权限。
Set up admin and operator access levels. Set up admin and operator access levels.
通讯正常时，状态灯应为绿色。
The status light should be green when communication is normal. The status light should be green when communication is normal.
测试每个页面的切换功能。
Test the page switching functions one by one. Test the page switching functions one by one.
确认所有数据实时更新。
Confirm that all data updates in real time. Confirm that all data updates in real time.
调整触摸屏的灵敏度。
Adjust the sensitivity of the touch panel. Adjust the sensitivity of the touch panel.
进行触摸屏校准测试。
Perform a touch screen calibration test. Perform a touch screen calibration test.
记录报警日志并导出数据。
Record alarm logs and export the data. Record alarm logs and export the data.
检查 HMI 与 PLC 的通讯稳定性。
Check the stability of communication between the HMI and PLC. Check the stability of communication between the HMI and PLC.
HMI 监控系统调试完成。
The HMI monitoring system has been successfully commissioned. The HMI monitoring system has been successfully commissioned.
开始安装现场传感器。
Start installing the field sensors. Start installing the field sensors.
将传感器固定在支架上。
Mount the sensor on the bracket. Mount the sensor on the bracket.
传感器电缆要使用屏蔽线。
Use shielded cables for the sensor wiring. Use shielded cables for the sensor wiring.
连接信号线到输入模块。
Connect the signal wires to the input module. Connect the signal wires to the input module.
确认信号类型为4到20毫安。
Verify that the signal type is for -20 milliamperes. Verify that the signal type is for -20 milliamperes.
供电电压要符合传感器要求。
Ensure the supply voltage meets the sensor's specifications. Ensure the supply voltage meets the sensor's specifications.
安装接近开关检测金属目标。
Install a proximity sensor to detect metal targets. Install a proximity sensor to detect metal targets.
压力变送器要垂直安装。
Mount the pressure transmitter vertically. Mount the pressure transmitter vertically.
温度探头要插入管道中心。
Insert the temperature probe into the center of the pipe. Insert the temperature probe into the center of the pipe.
用校验仪输出标准信号。
Use a calibrator to output a standard signal. Use a calibrator to output a standard signal.
调整变送器零点和量程。
Adjust the transmitter zero and span. Adjust the transmitter zero and span.
检查信号接地是否正确。
Check if the signal grounding is correct. Check if the signal grounding is correct.
确认信号线极性无误。
Verify that the signal wire polarity is correct. Verify that the signal wire polarity is correct.
模拟输入信号测试显示读数。
Simulate an input signal to test the display readings. Simulate an input signal to test the display readings.
记录每个通道的电流输出值。
Record the current output of each channel. Record the current output of each channel.
对比标准信号进行校准。
Calibrate against the reference signal. Calibrate against the reference signal.
检查传感器响应是否正常。
Check if the sensor response is normal. Check if the sensor response is normal.
所有信号稳定后锁紧端子。
Tighten all terminals after signals are stable. Tighten all terminals after signals are stable.
完成信号回路的校验。
Complete the loop signal verification. Complete the loop signal verification.
传感器安装与调试结束。
Sensor installation and commissioning are completed. Sensor installation and commissioning are completed.
开始安装接地系统。
Start installing the grounding system. Start installing the grounding system.
打入接地极并保持垂直。
Drive the grounding rod into the ground vertically. Drive the grounding rod into the ground vertically.
接地电缆要使用裸铜线。
Use bare copper wire for the grounding conductor. Use bare copper wire for the grounding conductor.
将接地线连接到接地排。
Connect the grounding wire to the grounding bus bar. Connect the grounding wire to the grounding bus bar.
所有金属外壳都要接地。
All metal enclosures must be grounded. All metal enclosures must be grounded.
防雷装置要与接地系统相连。
Connect the lightning protection device to the grounding system. Connect the lightning protection device to the grounding system.
在屋顶安装避雷针。
Install lightning rods on the rooftop. Install lightning rods on the rooftop.
避雷针要通过铜带连接到地网。
Connect the lightning rod to the grounding grid using copper tape. Connect the lightning rod to the grounding grid using copper tape.
等电位连接要覆盖所有设备。
Equipotential bonding must cover all major equipment. Equipotential bonding must cover all major equipment.
安装浪涌保护器在配电柜内。
Install surge protectors inside the distribution panel. Install surge protectors inside the distribution panel.
测试接地电阻值。
Test the earth resistance value. Test the earth resistance value.
接地电阻应小于5欧姆。
The earth resistance should be less than 5 ohms. The earth resistance should be less than 5 ohms.
在测试点测量个接地间电位差。
Measure potential differences between grounding points. Measure potential differences between grounding points.
所有接地连接要压紧牢固。
Tighten all grounding connections securely. Tighten all grounding connections securely.
地线弯曲半径不能太小。
The bending radius of the grounding wire must not be too small. The bending radius of the grounding wire must not be too small.
接地井要保持清洁干燥。
Keep the grounding pit clean and dry. Keep the grounding pit clean and dry.
检查接地线绝缘是否完好。
Check the insulation of the grounding wires. Check the insulation of the grounding wires.
标识所有接地端子位置。
Label all grounding terminal points. Label all grounding terminal points.
测量完成后恢复接地连接。
Reconnect all grounding wires after testing. Reconnect all grounding wires after testing.
接地与防雷系统安装完成。
The grounding and lightning protection system has been completed. The grounding and lightning protection system has been completed.
开始进行电气系统测试。
Start testing the electrical system. Start testing the electrical system.
使用照欧表测量绝缘电阻。
Measure insulation resistance using a megger. Measure insulation resistance using a megger.
绝缘电阻应大于1兆欧。
The insulation resistance should be greater than 1 megohm. The insulation resistance should be greater than 1 megohm.
检查线路的导通情况。
Check the continuity of all circuits. Check the continuity of all circuits.
确认断路器能正常动作。
Confirm that all breakers operate correctly. Confirm that all breakers operate correctly.
测量各回路的电压值。
Measure the voltage of each circuit. Measure the voltage of each circuit.
电压偏差应小于5%。
The voltage deviation should be less than 5%. The voltage deviation should be less than 5%.
测试项序是否正确。
Test if the phase rotation is correct. Test if the phase rotation is correct.
接地连续性测试合格。
The grounding continuity test has passed. The grounding continuity test has passed.
检查所有照明回路运行正常。
Check that all lighting circuits work properly. Check that all lighting circuits work properly.
进行负载式运行测试。
Perform a load test on the system. Perform a load test on the system.
记录电流、电压与功率数据。
Record the current, voltage, and power readings. Record the current, voltage, and power readings.
观察设备运行是否平稳。
Observe if all equipment runs smoothly. Observe if all equipment runs smoothly.
测试紧急照明和报警系统。
Test the emergency lighting and alarm systems. Test the emergency lighting and alarm systems.
检查配电柜标签与图纸一致。
Verify that all panel labels match the drawings. Verify that all panel labels match the drawings.
进行功能性测试，确认控制逻辑。
Perform functional tests to confirm control logic. Perform functional tests to confirm control logic.
发现问题要记录并整改。
Record and correct any issues found during testing. Record and correct any issues found during testing.
测试完成后提交验收报告。
Submit the acceptance report after all tests are completed. Submit the acceptance report after all tests are completed.
等待建立工程师现场验收。
Wait for the supervising engineer to conduct site inspection. Wait for the supervising engineer to conduct site inspection.
电气系统测试与验收完成。
The electrical system testing and commissioning are completed. The electrical system testing and commissioning are completed.
开始进行设备维护工作。
Start performing maintenance work on the equipment. Start performing maintenance work on the equipment.
先断开主电源再操作。
Disconnect the main power before working. Disconnect the main power before working.
执行锁定挂牌程序。
Apply the lockout tagout procedure. Apply the lockout tagout procedure.
确认所有电路已完全断电。
Verify that all circuits are completely de-energized. Verify that all circuits are completely de-energized.
使用电压测试笔确认无电。
Use a voltage tester to confirm there is no power. Use a voltage tester to confirm there is no power.
佩戴绝缘手套和安全帽。
Wear insulated gloves and a safety helmet. Wear insulated gloves and a safety helmet.
设备维修时要防止误启动。
Prevent accidental startup during equipment maintenance. Prevent accidental startup during equipment maintenance.
设置警示牌提醒他人。
Place warning signs to alert others. Place warning signs to alert others.
检查配电柜内有无灰尘。
Check for dust inside the distribution panel. Check for dust inside the distribution panel.
清理电气元件表面的污垢。
Clean dirt off the surface of electrical components. Clean dirt off the surface of electrical components.
拧紧松动的接线端子。
Tighten any loose wiring terminals. Tighten any loose wiring terminals.
检查线缆绝缘是否老化。
Inspect cable insulation for aging or damage. Inspect cable insulation for aging or damage.
更换烧坏的保险丝。
Replace any blown fuses. Replace any blown fuses.
测量接地电阻是否正常。
Measure if the grounding resistance is within limits. Measure if the grounding resistance is within limits.
重新固定脱落的线槽盖板。
Reattach any loose wire duct covers. Reattach any loose wire duct covers.
维护记录要填写在日志中。
Record all maintenance activities in the logbook. Record all maintenance activities in the logbook.
按周期进行设备保养。
Perform equipment maintenance on a regular schedule. Perform equipment maintenance on a regular schedule.
发现异常要及时汇报。
Report any abnormal conditions immediately. Report any abnormal conditions immediately.
恢复供电前再次确认安全。
Verify safety again before restoring power. Verify safety again before restoring power.
维护工作安全完成。
The maintenance work has been completed safely. The maintenance work has been completed safely.
进入配电室前要穿戴防护装备。
Wear protective equipment before entering the substation. Wear protective equipment before entering the substation.
检查高压开关柜外观是否完好。
Inspect the appearance of the high voltage switch gear. Inspect the appearance of the high voltage switch gear.
确认地面无积水或杂物。
Ensure the floor is free of water and debris. Ensure the floor is free of water and debris.
操作前要检查电压指示灯状态。
Check the voltage indicator before operating. Check the voltage indicator before operating.
拉合开关前要得到许可。
Obtain permission before operating any switches. Obtain permission before operating any switches.
严格按照操作票进行操作。
Follow the operation sheet strictly. Follow the operation sheet strictly.
断开隔离开关前先停主开关。
Turn off the main breaker before opening the isolator. Turn off the main breaker before opening the isolator.
操作时要保持安全距离。
Maintain a safe distance during operation. Maintain a safe distance during operation.
使用绝缘杆进行拉合操作。
Use an insulated rod to operate the switch. Use an insulated rod to operate the switch.
高压设备操作时禁止两人同时操作。
Only one person should operate high voltage equipment at a time. Only one person should operate high voltage equipment at a time.
操作后要挂上接地线。
Attach grounding wires after switching off. Attach grounding wires after switching off.
确认母线已完全放电。
Confirm that the bus bar is fully discharged. Confirm that the bus bar is fully discharged.
测量高压柜的绝缘电阻。
Measure the insulation resistance of the switch gear. Measure the insulation resistance of the switch gear.
使用验电笔确认无电。
Use a high voltage tester to confirm no power. Use a high voltage tester to confirm no power.
进行定期巡检并填写记录。
Perform routine inspections and fill in the logs. Perform routine inspections and fill in the logs.
发现异响应立即停止操作。
Stop operation immediately if abnormal noise occurs. Stop operation immediately if abnormal noise occurs.
维修时要设置安全围栏。
Place safety barriers during maintenance. Place safety barriers during maintenance.
高压柜门要保持关闭状态。
Keep the high voltage cabinet door closed. Keep the high voltage cabinet door closed.
所有操作完成后撤除接地线。
Remove all grounding wires after finishing operations. Remove all grounding wires after finishing operations.
配电时操作安全结束。
The substation operation has been completed safely. The substation operation has been completed safely.
开始排查电器故障。
Start diagnosing the electrical fault. Start diagnosing the electrical fault.
首先确认设备是否有电。
First, check if the equipment has power. First, check if the equipment has power.
使用万用表测量电压。
Use a multimeter to measure the voltage. Use a multimeter to measure the voltage.
如果没有电压，检查断路器。
If there's no voltage, check the circuit breaker. If there's no voltage, check the circuit breaker.
检查电缆是否断线。
Inspect the cables for open circuits. Inspect the cables for open circuits.
用前行电流表测量电流。
Measure the current using a clamping meter. Measure the current using a clamping meter.
发现电流不平衡。
An imbalance in current is detected. An imbalance in current is detected.
检查是否有短路或过载。
Check for short circuits or overloads. Check for short circuits or overloads.
测量相间电压是否正常。
Measure if the line-to-line voltage is normal. Measure if the line-to-line voltage is normal.
使用热成像仪检查发热电。
Use a thermal imager to locate hot spots. Use a thermal imager to locate hot spots.
松动的接线端可能引起过热。
Loose terminals may cause overheating. Loose terminals may cause overheating.
重新拧紧所有端子螺丝。
Tighten all terminal screws again. Tighten all terminal screws again.
检查控制线是否损坏。
Inspect the control wires for damage. Inspect the control wires for damage.
替换老化或烧坏的电线。
Replace aged or burned wires. Replace aged or burned wires.
测量绝缘电阻，确保安全。
Measure insulation resistance to ensure safety. Measure insulation resistance to ensure safety.
故障电路恢复供电后再次测试。
Retest the circuit after restoring power. Retest the circuit after restoring power.
确认所有设备运行正常。
Confirm that all equipment is operating normally. Confirm that all equipment is operating normally.
记录故障原因和处理方法。
Record the cause of the fault and the repair action. Record the cause of the fault and the repair action.
清理现场并关闭电源。
Clean up the site and switch off the power. Clean up the site and switch off the power.
故障排查工作结束。
The troubleshooting work is completed. The troubleshooting work is completed.
开始检查电工工具箱。
Start inspecting the electrician's toolbox. Start inspecting the electrician's toolbox.
确认所有工具状况良好。
Make sure all tools are in good condition. Make sure all tools are in good condition.
使用绝缘螺丝刀操作电器设备。
Use insulated screwdrivers when working on electrical equipment. Use insulated screwdrivers when working on electrical equipment.
钳子要保持清洁无油。
Keep pliers clean and free of oil. Keep pliers clean and free of oil.
使用拨线钳去除电线绝缘层。
Use a wire stripper to remove wire insulation. Use a wire stripper to remove wire insulation.
不要用牙齿或刀子剥线。
Never strip wires with your teeth or a knife. Never strip wires with your teeth or a knife.
用万用表测量电压和电阻。
Measure voltage and resistance with a multimeter. Measure voltage and resistance with a multimeter.
选择正确量程以避免损坏。
Select the proper range to avoid damage. Select the proper range to avoid damage.
钳形表可用于测量交流电流。
A clamping meter can be used to measure AC current. A clamping meter can be used to measure AC current.
测量前要确保钳口闭合。
Ensure the clamping jaws are fully closed before measuring. Ensure the clamping jaws are fully closed before measuring.
使用电压测试笔检测带电状态。
Use a voltage tester to check if a circuit is live. Use a voltage tester to check if a circuit is live.
绝缘测试仪用于检测绝缘性能。
An insulation tester is used to check insulation resistance. An insulation tester is used to check insulation resistance.
测试前要断开电源。
Disconnect power before performing any test. Disconnect power before performing any test.
使用扭矩扳手拧紧端子螺丝。
Use a torque wrench to tighten terminal screws. Use a torque wrench to tighten terminal screws.
保持测量仪表定期校准。
Keep measuring instruments regularly calibrated. Keep measuring instruments regularly calibrated.
数字显示表要避免受潮。
Keep digital meters away from moisture. Keep digital meters away from moisture.
不要在雨天室外测量高压设备。
Never test high voltage equipment outdoors in the rain. Never test high voltage equipment outdoors in the rain.
工具使用完要归位。
Return all tools to their place after use. Return all tools to their place after use.
定期更换损坏的测试线。
Replace damaged test leads regularly. Replace damaged test leads regularly.
所有仪表工具检查完毕。
All instruments and tools have been checked. All instruments and tools have been checked.